taxpayers.
Yes, the US Press Secretary Caroline Levitt tells GB News' very own Bev Turner that the lawsuit against the BBC is going ahead and the broadcaster has 24 hours to remove their doctored panorama clip of Donald Trump. Will they do it?
And tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have badly misfired, with suggestions the PM's chief aide Morgan McSweeney is to blame. Allies of Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national election.
And GB News can exclusively reveal that a grooming gang victim has written to the Scottish First Minister urging him to act on the matter. Charlie Peters has the story.
And survivor Taylor, who was abused by gangs in Glasgow, has taken the extraordinary step of addressing John Swinney publicly as he prepares to take questions at First Minister's Questions in Holyrood. We expect this will be on the agenda.
And an independent review says that ISIS bride Shamima Begum, who is currently in a detention camp in Syria, should return to Britain to prevent human rights violations. Should she stay or should she be allowed to come back?
Good afternoon, Britain. It is a busy day of news. The wonderful thing, I think, about a midday show is that things happen.
Exactly.
Things happen during this time.
Yeah, so it is a really packed show, and we're expecting the Prime Minister to start speaking very soon as well. And as Tom said, we have the dream team with us. The dream team, if you're having very bad nightmares.
Well, before we get to our dream team, let's listen to the Prime Minister. He's in Anglesey announcing a new nuclear reactor.
Thank you very much to the First Minister. Can I just start by thanking all of you, and I just look around and see you all here. Thank you for giving up your time this morning to be with us for this announcement. We wanted to do the announcement here because this is an announcement of two major projects, but it's more than that. It's an announcement about your future. It's an announcement about the opportunities that you're going to get that wouldn't necessarily otherwise have been there. And that's why it's really important for us to be here. And it's why we wanted to be here in this college today to talk to you, because this is going to affect each and every one of you and give you really important opportunities. As the First Minister has said, two major announcements. This is very much a partnership announcement. So this is a Welsh Government working with a Labour Government in Westminster to deliver, and of course something here has been promised I don't know how many times, but we've come here not with a promise but with delivery, and that is really important, that partnership working. The First Minister has been really clear about her determination to ensure that we can make these announcements today and move forward on both of these projects, and I'm really pleased that we've worked so closely together on this. The first is the small modular reactor at Wilver. What a great thing. On the site that was nuclear, I've spoken to some of you this morning. I know that some of your parents worked in the old site, and now to have the opportunity to have the new site set up. This is going to be next generation nuclear. So it's really exciting, the first of its type here in North Wales. And we're going to sign the contract this year, and the work is going to start next year. So I'm not coming here to say to you this great nuclear project is going ahead, but it'll be 5 or 10 years before there's any work. We're starting it next year. Some of the early work will start even earlier than that. So this isn't a promise of what's going to happen tomorrow. It's what's going to happen very soon. In relation to the jobs that are going to be needed, they're not just construction and engineering and nuclear jobs. There's all sorts of jobs that are going to be needed in relation to Wilver. And therefore, whatever you're training in, it is likely that there's going to be a job which will be of relevance and significance to you. And these are going to be good, well-paid jobs for years and years to come. So this is a fantastic push forward, a real boost to have the first one here in North Wales, the first of its kind, pushing forward. And of course, it's not just a partnership between two governments. You've got Great British Nuclear and Rolls-Royce partnering. So the very best partnership you could possibly put together for this. Alongside that, we've got the AI growth zone up at Holyhead, which is going to be absolutely amazing. Again, I think there are 3 of them now, so this is the 3rd of these growth zones. That'll be a data centre. Again, the work on that will start very, very soon. It will attract other businesses in, because business will want to be near where the data is, and it'll be a magnet to bring in even more jobs. So we've got 3,000 jobs at the nuclear site, 3,500 jobs at the AI growth zone. And so putting that together, that's 6,500 jobs. I personally think it'll be more than that, because these things have a magnet effect. They draw in other businesses. People say, well, if the data's going to be there, I need to be nearer the data. Putting the energy and the data together makes complete sense. And so this is probably the biggest announcement for a generation, I think, here. And these are not jobs that are going to last 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, as some projects are. These are jobs that are going to be there for decades to come. And so whatever your aspiration, and I know, having spoken to some of you, that you want to work in engineering and construction, in various different issues. We're going to need you. We've got plenty of work for you, but it's really important for us to come here to make this announcement, because it's your futures that are being announced today, and your chance. And we want you to work with us and say thank you to that, because, as the First Minister said, we need you to be doing these jobs here and powering forward to the future. So a really good example of partnership working, what a difference it makes when you've got 2 governments working together, when you've got Great British Nuclear and Rolls-Royce working together. And it's really good to come here, not with a promise of something in the future, but something that's being delivered. So thank you all very much. Thank you for showing us around as well. It's great to be in this environment. This college, I can tell from talking to you, is a great college as well. I've spoken to a number of people who said, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do when I arrived here, but then I tried various different things, and now I know this is what I want to do. And that's what it's all about, because at school it's quite difficult, I think, to know what precisely you want to do when you're sitting behind a desk. Being in an environment like this, where you're actually doing it, I think gives you a much better sense of what you want to do, what's of interest to you, and where your skills might take you. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for showing us around, some of you, and showing us what you're doing and the skills that you're learning. I'm really pleased that we're able to say to you, we're going to need your skills. You've got great opportunity here. Please work with us on this. This is a very good news announcement today, and thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I think we're going to take some questions from you. So we'll take any question, by the way. I think I'll just look at some. I think there are some around, but we'll take questions and we'll get as many in as possible. And I'll try to remember to look slightly behind me as well. Where do we want to start? Yes, sir.
Hello, Bob. Enwy tegid ac ar y funud dwi'n astudio peirian ag awyrannol level 3 yn yng Ngholeg. Nghwestiwn ni ydy, ar ôl y gyhoeddiad yma, bydd yna unrhyw cwrsiau newydd, sgiliau newydd neu hyfforddiant newydd yn cael ei creu i pobl ifanc i paratoi nhw ar gyfer y swyddi newydd fydd yn cael ei creu gan y prosiect yma. Diolch.
And my question is, following today's announcement, will there be any new skills or training courses to helping people prepare for the jobs this project will bring?
Yes, there's going to have to be, because the skills, I mean, I think I've been saying to those running this college, we're going to have a bigger college. Because, I mean, the skills, I mean, just to run through very quickly, we will need construction, we will need engineering, we will need nuclear skills, we will need computing skills, we will need business skills because there are business cases that need to be done, commercial skills. There'll be work in security as well for nuclear sites. It's a very specialist.
Well, there, the Prime Minister announcing not one, but a series of new small modular nuclear reactors in Anglesey in North Wales. Now, this has been a long time coming. People might remember the small modular nuclear reactor programme involving companies like Rolls-Royce. It was first announced back by George Osborne in 2016. It's taken 9 years to get to this point. But now the Prime Minister says that that spades will be in the ground next year. Well,
but it still won't be opening until the mid-2030s. However, it's going to provide up to 3,000 jobs and billions of pounds of investment in the area. And you can see in the background there the youngsters of that area looking suitably enthralled by the whole thing there. They don't exactly look enthused, do they?
There's been some criticism of the project over the course of the last 2 years. There's been a 2-year-long tender that the government has been putting out, trying to get companies to bid to be the companies that build these small modular reactors. But part of the tender hasn't been how well you make a nuclear reactor. It's been about what social value you provide. So the companies had to prove they'd be providing jobs for refugees, jobs for the recently immigrated, jobs for those seeking asylum, and jobs for those who face barriers to employment, as well as half of all those working on the contract had to be women. I mean, these were
nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
Well, no, there are things wrong with that. When you look at the proportion of people.
Joking, Tom.
Yeah, right. When you look at the proportion of people working in this sector who are women, I mean, these are just further hurdles, more expense that they've put on this contract. This could have been delivered faster and cheaper if they didn't have all of these extra hurdles that they'd placed on these businesses.
So what you're saying, Tom, it's the world's first woke nuclear reactor.
It could well be.
I think that just about sums it up, doesn't it?
Well, we'll have more on that later in the programme.
Bet you can't wait, eh? OK, now, GB News can reveal that people smugglers and migrants are operating largely unchecked in French coastal towns.
Yes, exclusive footage from GB News captures large numbers of migrants seen walking through towns in their life jackets, seemingly unchallenged by authorities.
What did the authorities think they were doing? Local residents have reported feeling terrorised by the increasing levels of migrant criminality and violence.
Well, joining us now is our Home and Security editor, Mark White, with more on this. Mark, just extraordinary scenes.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think it's a stark illustration of just how French police seem to be ignoring what's right in front of their face. I want to show you the first video, which is the most extraordinary scene of a boat, a large migrant boat being carried aloft by about 20 of these illegal migrants, heading down towards a river on the outskirts of Dunkirk with a view to using this as a taxi boat. They go down the river, they then hover off the beach and the migrants clamber on board. Broad daylight, right in a residential street, nothing to stop them getting that boat down to the water. Then look at the imagery we saw a snatch off just in the introduction. Look at this. This is the free bus service that runs down to beaches, particular Gravelines Beach near Dunkirk, which is a hot spot for boat launches. You can see the migrants there just carrying their life jackets or wearing their distinctive orange life jackets, catching free bus services, wandering through the town as well, with absolutely nothing. There they are, just walking down residential streets with no police in sight. Maritime security expert we were speaking to said the very least that the police should be doing is confiscating these life jackets from them, because these are enablers of the illegal crossings that we see every time the weather improves. Look at this. This is in Calais. Migrant after migrant after migrant, all very distinctive. You couldn't really miss them, never being stopped by the police.
This is really the most astonishing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a parody, but it's not. This is real life.
Yeah, well, of course. And listen, it's not just about the police not intervening here to stop what's right in front of their face. It's about disorder and criminality that's happening in these towns that really that's proved to be a nightmare, according to residents we've spoken to. Take a look at this image. For our radio audience, these are nighttime images showing a mob of about 100 migrants rampaging through a residential street in the town of Gravelly, not far from Dunkirk, because they've been unable to launch their boat from that nearby beach. They're angry, they're clashing with police. Local residents say their cars are being vandalised, graffiti sprayed on the walls. They're living in fear often from these very angry migrants coming through at all hours of the day and night. And then the other images we want to show you relate to the supply chain of the small boats. This image here is from a Turkish factory. You can see new style of boat with the red stripe. It's like something out of Starsky and Hutch with that red stripe down the side. It's very distinctive indeed, and that points to perhaps a different manufacturer in the back streets of China where these boats are manufactured. They're then shipped to Turkey to be checked over before then going to Germany. And to show you that these boats are now in the English Channel, look at this boat, which we get a close-up in a second. The Go Faster red stripe, very distinctive down the side of that boat. So whatever the government will tell you about going after the gangs, and they do have some successes in knocking out individual supply lines, there are plenty of robust supply lines in place that the people smugglers can go to.
I mean, you could just put a police officer on that free bus and pretty much put an end to it. I mean, it's extraordinary the lack of effort that we've seen being applied here by the French police, despite the billions of pounds that we've now sent the French. But I wonder, Mark, if we could get the penultimate set of images you got back up again, where they're marching through the town, where you've got these sort of burly blokes making very loud and aggressive noises.
The nighttime shots of the disorder, yeah. Well, let's just have a listen to that again. That was video 3 in the sequence.
Mark, when I look at this, I am not seeing your poor, your tired, your huddled masses. I am not seeing your meek, your feeble, your women, your children. I am seeing burly, male, young men, economic migrants. These are not people seeking genuine refuge.
And can you imagine how frightening it is? This is a neighbour in this residential street in Gravelly, just filming in the early hours of the morning out of his bedroom window at the disorder taking place right outside his house. These young men, angry that they couldn't launch their boat, clashing with the police, screaming Allahu Akbar and chanting at this time in the morning. You can understand how residents in this neighbourhood are, and of course seeing these images as well of a boat being carried aloft by 20-odd migrants in broad daylight with, it seems, complete impunity. You can see how people in these towns are fed up to the back teeth and want their government and the authorities to do something more meaningful about this.
Mark, have we gone to the Home Office here with these images, and do we have any response at all?
We do have a statement. I don't know if you have that, and you don't have it there, but basically the Home Office are saying that, you know, it's an outrage, the number that are coming across the channel, that they are taking action with the French and other authorities to try to deal with this issue, and that they have returned 35,000 migrants to their home countries over the last year or so.
Although, as we know, those 35,000 aren't small boat migrants in the main. They're visa overstayers.
Yeah.
That's a very important point. The vast majority are visa overstayers or foreign national offenders. We've got thousands of those in our prisons. So as they're released, if they serve 12 months or more, they are deported from the country. Sometimes that doesn't happen that quickly. A small percentage are the small boat migrants.
Well, we've got that Home Office statement from a spokesperson from the Home Office. It says this. The number of small boat crossings are shameful and the British people deserve better. This government is taking action. We've detained and removed more than 35,000 who are here illegally, and our historic deal with the French means those who arrive on small boats are now being sent back. But we must go further and faster, removing more of those here illegally and stopping migrants from making small boat crossings in the first place.
Well, I mean, do let us know how you feel about that situation and the shocking images that Mark has just shown you, gbnews.com/your say, and what you make of the government's explanation as well. My immediate reaction is, well, I don't want words like that. I want you to do something.
But this is the most extraordinary thing throughout the course of this crisis. You have government after government, and Home Secretary after Home Secretary saying, we're dealing with this problem. We're getting rid of people with no right to be here. If you come here illegally, we will remove you. That's what they say. But then what happens if you rock up on a small boat? What happens? You're put up in a hotel, you are given a stipend from the British taxpayer, your board and bed are paid for by the British taxpayer. I mean, they are doing one thing and saying something completely different.
And
I mean, what would you respond to if you're an illegal migrant? What you see happening every single day, or what you hear the politicians saying?
The pull factor. I mean, the French Interior Minister has said the British are going to stop the pull factor. At the same time as taking over £1 billion from us to stop the push factor, as it were, which they don't seem to be doing at all.
Well, Mark White,
thank you.
Absolutely, extraordinary imagery there.
Absolutely. OK, now Labour is gearing up for the biggest policing shake-up in years, with plans to scrap police and crime commissioners altogether.
Yes, the Home Office has confirmed that the role of Police and Crime Commissioner will be scrapped from 2028.
Ministers say the roles have just not delivered and that the cash could be better spent on frontline policing.
Well, joining us now is Police and Crime Commissioner for Leicestershire and Rutland, Rupert Matthews. Rupert, thanks for joining us. You're going to be out of a job in 2 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, unlike many politicians, I've got another career. I'm really a historian, so I'll be all right. I'll just go back to doing that. But I think this really is a dark day for policing in the UK. It's been police and crime commissioners who have provided some sort of democratic input into how policing is done. And it's been the chief constables in the Home Office who have been pushing the things the public don't like. So the public want more bobbies on the beat. Well, that's the chief constable's got rid of that. The public don't like two-tier policing. That's been the Home Office and chief constables pushing that. It's been police and crime commissioners who've been trying to steer the police back into the path that people like and people want. And as the only Reform Party PCC in the country, of course, I'm going to think the police do need reform. They need to take account of what the public like. At the minute, they're not doing that. And all this is doing is stepping back from democratic oversight of the police. It's going to be in the hands of unelected professionals, unaccountable professionals. We're just going to see more of the same, more two-tier policing and less community work going on.
OK, Rupert, just as for those of us that never quite understood this concept in the first place, I'd rather have a copper on the beat. Just explain exactly on a daily basis what a crime commissioner does.
OK, so police and crime commissioner does two jobs. So first of all, to do with the police, we set the strategy and we set the budget. The chief constable then goes away and does the day-to-day management of it, and we hold him to account. So, you know, just at its most basic, we do the auditing sort of side of it. So if the budget says you've got £3 million to spend on new police cars this year, we check that that money is spent on police cars and doesn't get spent on something else. So, you know, it's a basic monitoring process there as well. Away from the police, we do a lot of crime prevention work. We do a lot of victim support and so on. But this specific thing, I think, is very important, that we have provided the democratic oversight to the police service. We have been trying to get the police to do what the public want. But because chief constables are operationally independent and are backed up by the Home Office, largely they've been able to just ignore the public and ignore police and crime commissioners. And that is why you are seeing this two-tier policing. That's why you're seeing the lack of bobbies on the beat. It's unelected bureaucrats being in control. and that's never a good idea.
That makes a lot of sense. I do see your point, but I do think, Rupert, that from the start, the name has been a terrible thing. This verbose, wordy police and crime... I understand why you want to commission police. Why you'd want to commission any crime, I'm not quite sure. I don't know why we've ended up with crime commissioners. Perhaps if we just cut half of the name, we'd get less crime in the first place. Rupert, I'm afraid we've run to the end of the conversation, but thanks indeed for joining us.
I think it's supposed to be crime prevention commissioners, but they got chopped.
Got far too verbose. Rupert, thanks indeed. Rupert Matthews there, Police and Crime Commissioner for Leicestershire and Rutland.
Thank you very much indeed. OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, GB News can exclusively reveal that a grooming gang victim has written to the Scottish First Minister urging him to act. But after the break...
Yeah, tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have badly misfired.
Well, all of that and indeed more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, we say small flag. It was 30 feet across, 24 feet high. But, so I suppose it's relative. But it had a brand through the middle of it, or a campaign really, says flytheflag.uk. Yeah. Because if we just put up a Union flag, then people would just go, a Union flag. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to correct that. Everybody tries to pull you up, it's not a Union Jack. Well, I've decided we all know it better as the Union Jack. No other country has got a Union Jack. They've got a flag of the country. So I'm no longer going to accept people trying to pull us up for that. Yep. But anyway, so we put it on there so that people would identify that we're trying to do something, not just another flag. Yeah. So the council didn't like that because they said it's not a flag, it's an advertisement. Well, I'm not too bothered. There was a bit of a mistake on the proofing as well, which is ironic because the company that manufactured it was actually based in Clown in Chesterfield, UK printing company, and they made a mistake and I didn't really spot it because I was out of the country. All right. So that also caused a problem. But I thought, well, I'm not just going to take it down because of that. I own the building. Let's just see what happens. So I thought, no, out of principle, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to leave it up and let's if you want to take us to court, if you want to waste taxpayers' money, I'll fight it out of principle.
So Chesterfield councillors, they clutched their pearls, but what's been the reaction in the community?
I would say 98, 99% positive. People going past, popping the router, thumbs up. Of the various different videos and images that have been up, we think we're nearly 3 million views, which is an estimate, but 99%, you're always going to get some dissenters. Some people want to call it racist, fascist. I think it's just the easy tropes to chuck out there that they've chucked out so much that they've lost all their meaning, really.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 28 minutes past midday.
Yes, now the Labour civil war gets deeper and deeper in all your papers today. Allies of Sir Keir Starmer have warned Labour plotters that removing him could trigger a general election, which could devastate the party.
Yeah, let's pull the other one. Well, the Prime Minister is under pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, after Number 10 was accused of briefing against the Health Secretary. Joining us now is Labour councillor Brendan Chilton. Brendan, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Brendan, I have to say that it took the Conservative Party 17 years to get to this point. Labour have achieved it in 17 months.
It is an unfortunate set of circumstances that we're in this morning, but I take comfort from the fact that the Health Secretary, who was obviously the victim of the attacks, has actually said the Prime Minister should stay in place, his Chief of Staff should stay in place, and the government should get on with delivering its manifesto commitments. So I think there is a lot of noise at the moment in the media, but the two key people involved in this, the Prime Minister and the Health Secretary, are calling for unity and for the party to get on and govern the country.
Of course, that's what they're saying to the media. Of course, that's what you'd expect the Health Secretary to say when questioned by journalists. I stand full square behind the Prime Minister, because everyone stands full square behind the Prime Minister until they don't. I mean, this is what Rishi Sunak said about Boris Johnson. This is what Boris Johnson said about Theresa May. It's what Theresa May said about David Cameron. I mean, we've seen this show before.
We have, but at the moment, there is the appetite to change leader in the Labour Party is actually very small. Most Labour MPs I talk to are far more concerned about us telling the story, about what the government is actually doing, about transacting the policy into practice so people can see the impact of policies in people's communities. And yes, we have seen successive Tory Prime Ministers fall over recent years, and that's why the country voted to elect a Labour government, because they were fed up with the madness and the chaos under the last regime. This government has got to sort itself out, but I don't believe there'll be a change in leader. And I think actually within a week or so, all today's news will be yesterday's chip paper, and we'll be focusing on the budget.
Brendan, do you seriously believe that? I mean, we've had many Labour councillors and spokespeople on here, and even though they have admitted they are not happy with the way things are going, and let's face it, so far we have had literally one crisis after another, literally at least one a month with someone resigning or getting sacked. And, you know, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are the most unpopular Prime Minister and Chancellor on record.
Well, no, I said at the start of this interview, the circumstances which we find ourselves in at the moment are very unfortunate and could have been avoided.
Brendan, Brendan, can I just correct you? You find yourself in these circumstances. Who put yourself in those circumstances?
Well, if you just let me finish, it is a very unfortunate set of circumstances, and I was about to say, whoever undertook those briefings yesterday against the Health Secretary should not have done it. The Prime Minister said that in the Commons. The Health Secretary has also said that too. What we need is the Labour government to unite, to focus on delivering for voters and taking the fight to reform in the country. And these internal squabbles are no good. No country will vote for a government that is divided. That is the last lesson we learned from the previous Tory government. And so all this needs to be put aside. People need to close ranks and get on with delivering the programme upon which we were elected.
OK, well, Brendan Chilton, thanks indeed for joining us here live on GB News. Labour councillor, of course.
OK, and as of course, let us know what you think. Do you think the government are united? gbnews.com/your say. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, stay tuned to find out how much this piece of art, a literal pile of old rope, has been priced at. All of that and indeed much more after your latest headlines.
Very good afternoon. These are the headlines just after 12:30. Keir Starmer says he'll investigate briefings that unleashed a leadership row as he faces pressure to overhaul his toxic Downing Street operation and sacked Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney. Some good news for the economy. Growth has just stayed in positive territory. UK GDP rose by 0.1% over the past 3 months, despite a cyber attack at Jaguar Land Rover hitting manufacturing in September. The Home Office has confirmed that they will scrap police and crime commissioners from 2028. Policing Minister Sarah Jones says that this will save £20 million a year after they failed to deliver. And the UK's first small modular nuclear reactor will be built in Wales, backed by £2.5 billion of government investment. The government has confirmed that the National COVID Memorial Wall will be preserved to remember the lives lost during the pandemic and honour the sacrifice of public service key workers. Those are the headlines for now. More on those stories at the top of the hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more. or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Thank you very much, Sophia. During those serious news bulletins, I was coming up with a complete new section for this show. It's going to be called Tom's Tangent. We're having a little run through there, and at some point we'll introduce it live to you. I bet you can't wait for it. It's up there with a whiteboard moment.
In planning for this show, Dawn always loves me to go on a tangent. Oh, yeah. But still to come.
You. Sorry, what are we on?
Yeah, still to come, GB News can exclusively reveal that a grooming gang victim has written to the Scottish First Minister, urging him to act. Well, all of that and indeed more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south are staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Currently, northbound on the M90 between Junction 5 and Junction 6, a broken down vehicle has partially blocked the road, causing significant traffic congestion. Heavy goods vehicles should also take note of a weight restriction on the M48 in both directions for vehicles over 7.5 tonnes. This restriction is effective from late May this year and will remain in place until further notice. Additionally, on the trains, Avanti West Coast services are facing disruptions between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District, while cross-country services encounter delays between Dunbar and Berwick-upon-Tweed. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 37 minutes past midday. Now, the turbulent times in Downing Street are not letting up. We've sent our intrepid political correspondent into the lion's den to try and glean what on earth is going on behind that famous dark brick facade. Yes, Catherine Forster is there live in Downing Street for us. Catherine, what on earth are they saying?
Well, here we go again. We were promised calmness, we were promised competence before the election, and look where we are. The lobby briefing with political journalists went round and round and round, talking about those leaks which we are told have come from this building behind us. about a plot to remove the PM, about the Health Secretary Wes Streeting. But today, the Prime Minister's official spokesman told us that the Prime Minister has spoken to his senior team this morning. He, of course, is in Wales. Some of them are with him, some of them are here, but had a conversation with them and made it clear to them that he has never and never would sanction any such briefings and that they're completely unacceptable. And he has been assured, we were told, that no number 10 staff briefed against any cabinet minister. So he's been told that no one in that building briefed against Wes Streeting. He apparently has made clear that it's unacceptable and that action will be taken if that were found not to be the case. We also know that he's apologised to Wes Streeting yesterday for the situation he found himself in, and they wanted to stress that the Health Secretary is doing a, quote, superb job, doing what the government says it's focused on, delivering for people, getting those waiting lists down. But look, it's massively frustrating for them because they want to be talking about what they're doing to make people's lives better. Of course, those gloomy economic growth figures out this morning showing that the economy only grew by 0.1%. They said those figures were disappointing, but the Chancellor is going to take fair decisions to build a stronger economy. We know that more than likely in just a couple of weeks, income tax is going to go up and there's going to be lots of other potentially painful tax rises coming. On Brexit, we know that the Prime Minister has spoken to Ursula von der Leyen of the EU, starting formal talks on this Brexit reset that we've been promised, this better relationship with the EU. It does sound likely we're going to have to pay money for that. They've said they're open to that if it is worth the benefit. So watch this space on that. And on the tragic death of Sarah Sharif, he said it's an appalling case and incredibly serious failings. We've heard today, of course, that some people involved were fearful of being seen as being racist in raising concerns, and that is a part of why this little girl was able to be murdered in this most appalling way. The government say that they are taking measures to make sure that no child is invisible.
Catherine, just to go back to what you said at the start of your report, that the Prime Minister is insisting he's been assured that no number 10 staff briefed against any ministers. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not the Prime Minister in effect saying that the Times newspaper, the BBC, the Guardian, all of the media establishment effectively decided to get together in some sort of lying cabal and concoct the most enormous conspiracy theory that a number 10 advisor had been briefing this stuff? I mean, does number 10 really expect us all to believe that all of those independent media organisations made up the same story at the same time?
Well, that is exactly what we asked. I've put that in block capitals with multiple exclamation marks behind it because, of course, it wasn't just one journalist. This was briefed to multiple journalists. Now, the Prime Minister is simply saying that he has been assured, he has been told by his team in number 10 that no briefings were given against Wes Streeting from in this building. He's been told that, but clearly somebody somewhere has briefed all these journalists, and I think there is still a lot of suspicion that that somebody might be in there.
For the man who accused Boris Johnson of lying quite so much, I mean, that sounds like it is an absolute mistruth coming from number 10. Just the most extraordinary news.
Catherine, we do have a clip of Wes Streeting's response. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Right, you received an apology from the Prime Minister last night.
I'm not. One of the great things about being here in the North West today is you can leave all that silly Westminster soap opera stuff behind. What today's figures show is that the NHS is on the road to recovery, and this is a Labour government that is delivering the change that people voted for. Whether it's falling waiting lists for the first time in 15 years, almost 250,000 lower than when we came to office. Whether it's rising satisfaction with GPs, where we promised to recruit 1,000, but actually delivered 2,500 more GPs, or whether it's the fact that if you've got suspected heart attack or stroke symptoms, an ambulance is coming to you about 10 minutes faster than it did this time last year. This is a government that's delivering change in the NHS. It's on the road to recovery. I'd be the first to say, though, a lot done, a lot more to do, and that's what I'm focused on.
I understand that's your focus. You are the Health Secretary, but you are also a member of the Cabinet. You are in number 10. All of this turmoil is taking place. Tell me about Morgan McSweeney.
I'm sure that Morgan McSweeney, Keir Starmer and everyone else is absolutely delighted with the news today that NHS waiting lists are falling.
Do you have confidence in Morgan McSweeney?
One of the great things about being here in the North West today is I can leave all the trivial Westminster bubble stuff behind and instead focus on what we are doing, which is the change the public voted for. They told us they wanted their NHS back on its feet and fit for the future. That's what we're delivering. Waiting lists down by almost 250,000 since I became Health Secretary. Ambulances arriving around 10 minutes faster to heart attack and stroke victims than this time last year. And where I promised to recruit 1,000 more GPs in my first year as Health Secretary, I've recruited 2,500, and patient satisfaction with general practice is rising. Now, I'd be the first to say a lot done, a lot more to do, but the NHS is on the road to recovery, and that's the only job I'm interested in.
Given that, can you...
Well, there was Wes Streeting, and before him, of course, big thanks to Catherine Forster.
Yes, indeed. OK, let's move on. Now, Scottish First Minister John Swinney has been questioned by Tory leader Russell Finlay on grooming gangs after GB News revealed a raft of failures in Glasgow.
Well, the questions come after Glasgow victim Taylor wrote a letter to the First Minister urging him to launch an inquiry.
Taylor was a vulnerable child in local authority care in Glasgow, and she should have been protected, but she was preyed upon by grooming gangs. Last night she wrote to John Swinney telling him that she and her friends were plied with alcohol and drugs and sexually abused by at least 10 Pakistani men. Taylor and other victims say there must be a grooming gangs inquiry in Scotland. They say it's the only way to uncover the scale of the abuse, establish why it went unchecked and ensure that it cannot continue. So will John Swinney agree to the inquiry being asked for by Taylor and other victims?
First Minister. Presiding Officer, first of all, I want to confirm to Russell Finlay that I have received the letter from Taylor, and I want to express here to Parliament my admiration for her courage to speak out on such an important and very difficult subject. And I'm deeply saddened to hear of any cases of sexual abuse, and as Parliament knows, I have taken significant action during my term in office as a Minister to ensure this issue has been addressed.
Astonishing. OK, we're joined in the studio by GB News national reporter Charlie Peters. Charlie.
Well, what a relief that these questions are being asked and that ministers are being put under pressure to explain the action being taken to deal with grooming gangs in Scotland, because we revealed Taylor's testimony, her experience last year, and those of Fiona Goddard, a victim from Bradford who was trafficked to Glasgow. And I have to say, I was extremely depressed by the cowardly reluctance by the media in Scotland, actually, to be frank, to engage with this issue, and for politicians from many parties to speak to us about it as well. I was worried that Taylor's bravery was going to be ignored and that her standing up and speaking about it was going to be just brushed over, like so many grooming gang victims have experienced throughout the rest of the United Kingdom. But today, finally, because some politicians have taken on this case and forced it into Holyrood, we've had this engagement. Now, also, we heard from the First Minister later, after Russell Finlay used all of his questions on grooming gangs and our reporting last week. We heard from John Swinney saying that the government is open to a grooming gangs inquiry in Scotland. The Casey audit led to that recommendation for an inquiry in England and Wales. Currently, Scotland is mile behind. Just very quickly, the government says it has its own strategic group to look at this issue. But Russell Finlay raised the fact that in minutes from a meeting in July, they said that the problem in England is not replicated in Scotland. We have revealed the evidence that it is, and now finally, ministers are under pressure to act.
Huge story, Charlie. We're going to have much more on this later in the programme too, indeed, but thank you.
Okay. Now, there's lots more coming up on today's show. If you are in search of some holiday sun, here is a forecast for those top European destinations for you.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 9 minutes to 1 o'clock already. Now, new DNA analysis reveals Adolf Hitler suffered from a genetic disorder which often results in having undescended testicles and a micropenis.
Well, the Nazi tyrant's DNA sample, which was taken from a bloody sofa in his Berlin bunker, revealed he suffered from Kallman's syndrome, which hinders puberty and sexual development.
OK, we're joined now by historian Dr Luke Blaxhill. Dr Blaxhill, thank you very much for joining. This is all going out in the new TV programme, which airs in a couple of days' time. Tell us more about this absolutely fascinating story.
Well, researchers have forever been interested in trying to look at Hitler's DNA and his genetic predispositions to evil and tyranny. And the origin, I suppose, of this particular piece of investigation is really to be found in a popular schoolboy's kind of poem, or it was also sung by Allied troops, which goes, Hitler only has got one ball, Goering has two, but very small. Himmler is rather similar, but poor old Goebbels had no balls at all. And so, apparently, according to this groundbreaking research, sort of embarrassing bodies Führer edition, the old schoolboy's ditty was right.
It's the wisdom of crowds to some extent.
But my question, Luke, is how did we know that? I remember singing that as a kid as well, but obviously this is all coming out now as scientific fact. How did we know that back in the day?
I don't think anybody knew that, Dawn. I think that vast numbers of things were said and sung about Hitler, and it's a kind of sort of infinite monkeys kind of situation where one of them ended up proving to be right. But there are some much more, I think, serious kind of, points with this. I mean, it's obviously trying to tell us that psychologically, Hitler may have had Kalman syndrome, the failure to fully complete puberty, micropenis, etc., a predisposition to antisocial behavior. I mean, I suppose I don't really think we needed historical DNA tests to tell us that Hitler was a poorly adjusted individual. He committed genocide. I think that's a rather larger historical clue.
Absolutely. Dr. Luke Blaxall, thank you so much for talking us through this remarkable story. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south are staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
I
can't. Go on, you're going to have to go, Patrick. You're at the baby stage, you don't know, but I promise you, there is an epidemic in the world at the moment of parents with teens who struggle to connect with them, and most of the time it's because the kids are walking around with blooming headphones on, listening to their own music. And actually, for John Lewis to use music as a way of bringing the family together like that, it's just beautiful. It's great. It makes me just literally want to go and buy everything in their shop, because it shows that they get it for parents and families.
I mean, absolutely, Bev. And it's, you know, just so well put. I mean, for me, I kind of looked at it slightly from the other end of the spectrum there, which is especially when you saw the bit with the newborn baby, and, you know, so something that I've got at the moment. So I was thinking, oh, it's such a special time. Imagining, you know, when he kind of does his first run towards me and all of that, and then, you know, just thinking, what's it going to be like? And I have a bit of a fear, as I think many people do. I have a bit of a fear of. I know it's a long way off, but, like, gosh, what is it going to be like when he is a teenager? Is he gonna hate me? You know,
yes, that's part of the job.
He will. He will. He will. He will hate you. He will hate you, and that's okay, because there is a natural separation. Because if we love them as much as we did when they're little babies, you would never get out of bed in the morning when they left home. So you have to hate each other a little bit when they are old teens and early 20s. You have to, because otherwise families and procreation wouldn't function, etc. That's what we do. But yeah, thanks for that, Patrick. Thanks for that. I've got to go and get back in the makeup chair now.
I'm glad you had your makeup done before. Bev, all right, look, we'll see Bev in a few minutes. Take care, Bev.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, it's 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 13th of November. Here's Tom Harwood and I'm Dawn Neeson.
And it's a border disorder disaster. Yes, shocking new footage obtained by GB News shows people smugglers and migrants brazenly operating in France's coastal towns before they no doubt jump on a small boat to the United Kingdom.
And local residents say they're being terrorised by regular disorder in their towns, as well as high levels of criminality linked to the migrants.
Meanwhile, tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have badly misfired, with suggestions the PM's chief aide, Morgan McSweeney, is to blame. Allies of Sir Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national election.
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
The United States Press Secretary Caroline Levitt tells GB News' very own Bev Turner that the lawsuit against the BBC is going ahead, and the broadcaster has until tomorrow to remove their doctored panorama clip of Donald Trump. Will the BBC do it?
Meanwhile, Sadiq Khan announces electric vehicles will face congestion charge for the first time in London, just a week after news broke of the government proposal to introduce a pay-per-mile levy on electric car drivers from 2028.
Elsewhere, an independent review says that ISIS bride Shamima Begum, who's currently at a detention camp in Syria, could return to Britain, indeed should, to prevent human rights violations. But isn't it our human rights that we should be caring a little bit more about?
And do stay tuned to find out how much this piece of art, a literal pile of old ropes, has been priced at.
Also, which baby names are set to go extinct in the United Kingdom? Could your name be on the list? I find it extraordinary, Dawn.
Do you, Tom? What do you find extraordinary,
That we've
Tom?
just heard Number 10 Downing Street say that the Prime Minister has been informed that no one briefed against anyone. And yet we have it on the record that people have been briefing against Wes Streeting. This Number 10 seems to be pathologically committed to telling mistruths?
Porky pies, I think they're called in the trade. Indeed, yeah, that actually just basically said every journalist from the print newspapers and broadcast media have just made the whole thing up. And of course,
remarkably, simultaneously
made
the whole thing up.
And guys, let us know what you think about that. It's very easy to get involved in the conversation at gbnews.com/your say. But don't go anywhere. There's loads coming up after the headlines with Sophia.
Dawn, thank you. Very good afternoon. It's just gone 1 o'clock. These are your top stories. Sir Keir Starmer faces mounting pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, as Labour's internal row deepens over anonymous briefings against Wes Streeting. The Prime Minister has apologised to the Health Secretary for the juvenile claims he was plotting a coup and ordered an inquiry to find the source of the attacks. Sir Keir says he's determined to drive out a toxic culture inside Downing Street, insisting that any attack on any member of my cabinet is completely unacceptable. Speaking earlier, Wes Streeting declined to revisit yesterday's news.
The great thing about being here today is you can just leave the trivial Westminster bubble nonsense behind and focus on what really matters to people, which is in particular their National Health Service. Try as you might, I'm going to continue to be a message monster on this. I'm leaving the Westminster trivia behind. I'm proud of what we're doing on the NHS. Waiting lists are falling for the first time in 15 years, down by almost 250,000.
The Home Office has confirmed that they will scrap police and crime commissioners from 2028. The elected officials were first introduced in 2012 with the role of setting budgets for police forces and appointing chief constables for their areas. Speaking in the Commons, Policing Minister Sarah Jones says that this will save £20 million a year after they failed to deliver.
The model has failed to live up to expectations. It has not delivered what it was set up to achieve. Public understanding of and engagement with our police and crime commissioners remains low, despite efforts to raise their profile. Less than a quarter of voters turned out to vote for them in the 2024 elections, and 2 in 5 people are unaware PCCs even exist.
Now, GB News can reveal that people smugglers and migrants are operating with near impunity in northern France. Exclusive footage shows groups of migrants wearing life jackets and wandering through coastal towns unchallenged by the police. Residents say that they feel unsafe, describing rising levels of violence and criminality. That's as smuggling operations continue, almost in plain sight, along the Channel coast. The White House has branded the BBC a leftist propaganda machine as its battle with the broadcaster escalates. President Trump has given the BBC until Friday to retract parts of a Panorama documentary, which he claims dishonestly edited one of his speeches. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says that he supports a strong, independent BBC, but warned that it must get its house in order. The President's press secretary, Caroline Levitt, says that the ball is in the BBC's court, as reports suggest that the corporation is considering an apology to avert a $1 billion lawsuit.
The president has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. As you know, the president's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
And flooding could hit parts of the UK tomorrow as forecasters issue an amber warning for rain. Storm Claudia is set to sweep over the UK this weekend, bringing heavy downpours and strong winds. Some areas could see up to 80 millimetres of rain, with expected knock-on effects including power cuts, travel disruption and damage to buildings. The warnings will remain in place until the end of Friday. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'll be back in just under half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.315 and 1.132 euros. The price of gold is £3,219.90 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 9,850 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Thank you very much, Sophia. OK, the Labour civil war gets deeper and deeper.
Yes, allies of Sir Keir Starmer have warned Labour plotters that removing him could trigger a general election, which, of course, could, on current polling trends, absolutely devastate the party.
The Prime Minister is under pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, that's Morgan McSweeney, after Number 10 was accused of briefing against the Health Secretary.
And more recently, Number 10 Downing Street has basically said that all of the briefing didn't happen, which is strange, given that multiple journalists have reported that it did.
Kind of making it up. In any case, the Prime Minister has just spoken. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Whereas an advisor of yours decided to brief against one of your cabinet colleagues, you say that was unauthorised. That makes it sound like you've lost complete control of your Downing Street operation. Why don't you sack the person who was responsible for attacking one of your colleagues?
First, let me be absolutely clear that any briefing against ministers is completely unacceptable. That's not a new position for me. It's a position I've adopted ever since I became Prime Minister, and I made it very, very clear to my team. I've been talking to my team today. I've been assured that no briefing against ministers was done from Number 10, but I've made it clear that I find it absolutely unacceptable. If it transpires...
You're saying it didn't come from Downing Street?
I've been assured it didn't come from Downing Street. I'd be equally clear that whether it's this case or any other, I intend to deal with it.
It didn't come from Downing Street. Where did it come from? You sacked the person who's responsible.
Well, I will absolutely deal with anybody responsible for briefing against ministers, cabinet ministers or other ministers. I've always said that's the standard that I expect, and that's the standard that I will enforce.
There's a lot of anxiety in your party about the budget and the local elections in May. Do you accept that they need to go well for you to retain the confidence of your party and the country?
What I accept is that we were elected on a manifesto of change, and we have to deliver change. That's why I'm really pleased to be here in North Wales with this announcement today, because previous governments have come in relation to the nuclear project here with a promise that something might happen in a year or two or three. We're coming here with...
They are looking at those two things, and they are questioning your leadership. What is your message to them?
Delivery is really important, and that's why I'm really pleased to announce today that this is happening. Many, many jobs for this part of the world, for the young people here. And in answer to your question, it is the change that people voted for when they voted at last election. I'm deeply aware that we must deliver that change, and that's why I'm really pleased to be here today making this announcement.
Prime Minister, do you still have confidence in your Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney?
So of course I do. I work closely with my whole team. Our focus is on working for the country and making announcements like the announcement we made here today.
Right, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
OK, joining us now is chief political commentator, The Independent, John Rentoul. John, you've just listened to what Sir Keir Starmer had to say. He's never approved any attacks on the cabinet, on his cabinet colleagues. Briefings from Number 10 don't happen. And he says of Mr Streeting is doing a great job, as is the whole of my cabinet. OK, I think him thinking the whole of the cabinet doing a great job might be stretching things a bit. What do you think?
Well, if I could translate for the Prime Minister, what he meant was that didn't go very well. I'm very sorry about it, and it's not going to happen again. And we're going to try and change the subject and talk about delivery instead. I'm afraid I don't think it's going to wash particularly, but the truth is that someone on his behalf briefed the papers against Wes Streeting, and the net result of that was to make Wes Streeting look good.
And John, you and I have been on newspapers for a long, long time between us, and we know these briefings happen. So for the Prime Minister to stand there and say, no, this didn't happen, I mean, that is a barefaced lie, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't use that kind of language, Dawn. You know that. It is not a representation of events that you and I would recognise. Put it
John,
that way.
On that point, can I just draw a comparison? I mean, I think we were both in the same lobby briefing when Boris Johnson's press secretary was trying to, when the Downing Street spokesperson was trying to sort of say that, well, Boris Johnson was not aware of any parties going on, he hasn't been told about any parties going on. In the same way that today, the The spokesperson in Number 10 has said the Prime Minister has been assured no Number 10 staff briefed against ministers. The Prime Minister has been assured no Number 10 staff briefed against ministers. But you and I know that Number 10 staff did brief against ministers, that multiple different news outlets reported that briefing, that Number 10 is trying to pull the wool over the eyes of journalists in this country.
We can't be entirely sure exactly who briefed on behalf of the Prime Minister, but it clearly was a briefing on behalf of the Prime Minister. And I would have expected the Prime Minister to have known about it beforehand and to have agreed to it happening. We don't know exactly how it was. Well, Number 10 are always going to deny something that was off the record and intended to be deniable in the first place. So, yeah, I mean, I don't get on my high moral horse about the L word, but I mean this is politics, and the bottom line is it was a very bad idea. It was probably authorised by the Prime Minister himself, and it hasn't gone well, and it's blown up in his face. And yeah, it's led to him having to say awkward things which don't sound very convincing to the general public.
John, just very quickly and finally, I mean, the bottom line here is it's taken the Labour government 17 months to get where it took the Conservative government 17 years to get to. Utter shambles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for the party to be talking about changing its leader at this stage is quite a measure of how badly things are going for the government. And yet, you know, a lot of it is self-inflicted. I mean, this briefing did not need to happen. Whoever authorised it was a fool. And Keir Starmer quite rightly says they need to get on and deliver for the British people. And if they don't do that, then they're going to get kicked out of office.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree with that, delivering for the British people. Thank you very much, John. Always a joy. That's a political commentator at The Independent, John Rentoul there. Thank you very much.
Now, our top story today, GB News can reveal that people smugglers and migrants are operating largely unchecked in French coastal towns.
Exclusive footage from GB News captures large numbers of migrants, you won't believe this actually, walking through towns with their life jackets, seemingly unchallenged by authorities.
Well, local residents have reported feeling terrorised by the increasing levels of migrant criminality and indeed violence.
Joining us now in the studio is GB News Home Security Editor Mark White. Mark, these are some of the most staggering scenes I think I've seen. Yeah, it's a real illustration, I think, very graphic illustration of the way in which many of these small boat migrants and indeed the people smugglers are just wandering with impunity through these town centres and coastal communities in northern France. Let's take a look at this video. This is just incredible, I think, that shows a boat being carried aloft by 20-odd migrants through a residential street on the outskirts of Dunkirk, down towards one of the local rivers where this boat will be launched to act as what they call a taxi boat. They head down the river, again, seemingly unhindered in that particular voyage down the river, out into the sea, where they're then used to pick up the migrants themselves. And then the other images that we saw a glimpse of just in the introduction there, these are the bus stops in and around Gravelines, which is an area which is one of the main launch points for small boats on the beach at Gravelines. They're taking bus journeys to and from the beaches, some wearing their life jackets, others carrying their life jackets. They're not exactly inconspicuous in terms of, you know, the ability to spot them, as you can see them just walking in broad daylight down these busy streets with vehicles passing. And despite, we're told, very significant extra policing resources now in these coastal communities, they're doing nothing to, at the very least, confiscate the life jackets that they will then use in their next attempt to cross the English Channel. And it's not just about the inability of the police to stop the migrants crossing in the first place. It's the migrants being there and the criminality and the disorder that they bring in these local communities. Let's take a look at this next sequence.
Again, this is the town of Gravelines near Dunkirk, and for our radio audience, I'll just explain what we're seeing. Nighttime images of a mob of about 100 strong having been prevented from launching a boat, then rampaging through this residential neighbourhood, and it's being filmed by a local resident from their bedroom window. Absolutely, you know, terrified and terrorised by migrants in what they say is a regular occurrence. Migrants who just don't care for the local residents are chanting Allahu Akbar, and you can hear them that have been shouting there and then clashing with the police, throwing sticks and stones at the police officers as they try to make arrests from that mob. And as I say, this is a regular occurrence with a big increase as well in thefts and other criminality, you know, violence and destruction of property. And then if we look at the issue around boat supplies, we can show you the next sequence, which is in Turkey. This is a boat assembly backstreet factory where these boats are assembled. This one with the red stripe down the side of it. I was saying before they look like Starsky and Hutch, the stripes, but actually one viewer pointed out it's more like the A-Team with the red stripe down the black you know, vehicle there. And to show you that these particular brand of small boats are being used. Look at this image as we move in closer. You can see that same red stripe, very distinctive, right down the side of that vessel. And what that shows you is these are a different type of boat to the same kind of specifications, but clearly probably from a different manufacturer. So although the government can have its successes in trying to disrupt one supply line, there are plenty others out there.
Because it's not the suppliers that are the problem, it's the demand. It's the demand. As long as there's the demand of people coming across the channel, paying handsomely, whoever supplies them with the boats and the means to get there, those suppliers will flood to reach that market demand.
Yeah, and I think that's lost a lot of the time when you hear people, especially politicians, talking about the way in which these migrants are being, you know, somehow coerced and exploited by the criminal gangs. They are seeking out the criminal gangs to take them thousands of miles from their home countries in Africa and Asia, the Middle East, to the UK or wherever their destination might be.
Mark White, thank you very much. Shocking scenes there. And now joined by human rights lawyer David Hay. David, good to see you. Always good to see you and talk to you. Voice of common sense on this issue. We've paid the French, I think, over £1 million now to stop this happening. £1 billion, rather. Sorry, £1 billion to stop this happening. David, why aren't they stopping it?
Good afternoon. I mean, it's certainly terrifying watching that video, isn't it? And I think that's the question. I mean, why are the French not doing this? I mean, it almost looks like, I think it's fair to say, they're almost willing pawns in people smuggling, because, you know, they could stop what's happening if they wanted to. If people haven't gone to France and claimed asylum, they have an ability to instigate the law process there. They're not doing that. So, but to go further than that, and what's, you know, from a human rights law perspective, what's concerning is that the French authorities there that are letting these people be exploited by people smugglers and then come across the channel, they know that quite a number of them will face serious danger. Some of them will lose their life, yet the police are still doing nothing. Compare that to on our side, where we actually go and we assist if there's danger and risk to life of the people who are coming across the channel. So I think, you know, the French really need to actually do something here, not just obviously to protect our borders as per the agreement that we've got with them and to comply with that, but to protect their people in France. You know, if it's a small town, that looks very terrifying what's going on.
It really does, doesn't it? I mean, it's frightening that these people are coming here, undocumented, mainly young men again. David, I mean, no one's got a crystal ball on this issue, but is this situation going to get worse before it gets better?
Absolutely, 100%. I've said it before, Dawn. And you know, most of the news today is about infighting in the Labour Party, so their focus is elsewhere. You know, we should be focusing on problems in the country, and obviously migration is one of them, and illegal immigration into the country across the Channel. Yet we have to kind of watch, you know, what's happening in the leadership battles and the leadership fights rather than protecting our borders. And I think so. You know, that aside, there still isn't a proper plan to deal with the issue, because you need medium to long-term actions. And if already we're talking about perhaps a new prime minister and perhaps a new government, we're not going to get anywhere. It's going to get a lot worse, as I've said before, because there still isn't a solution that's workable.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of people say that these people, when they come across, the vast majority get accepted as legitimate asylum seekers. And yet, looking at these images, these are not poor, meek, tired people. These are strong, young men looking for economic opportunity. David, why do so many of them get approved as asylum seekers when to the average person they would absolutely say these people look like they're economic migrants?
I think you're absolutely right, Tom. I think, the system is broken. You've got, from even just looking at how the approval process works, you get people that should get asylum that don't, and a great many that shouldn't that do. And I think that's why we need to rethink the laws. I'm helping a lady at the moment. She's in Dubai. Her and her children are absolutely lives at risk. Her life is at risk. Her children are at risk. She's the type of person that the asylum laws were set up for. Yet she wouldn't be able to be protected. Yet people coming across the channel, the economic migrants, can. And that's why we need to rethink these asylum laws and the human rights laws, because we need to protect the most vulnerable whose lives are at risk, and we need to do that effectively and quickly. And that's what they were there for in the first place. And I think things have changed, and that's why we're having the problems. They're being abused by all the wrong people.
They are indeed. Thank you very much. That's human rights lawyer David Hay. David, thank you very much for joining us. And obviously, a distinct lack of women and children in those boats.
Always. Well, a Home Office spokesperson has said the number of small boat crossings are shameful and the British people deserve better. This government is taking action. We've detained more than 35,000 who are here illegally, and our historic deal with the French means that those who arrive on small boats are now being sent back. But we must go further and faster, removing more of those here illegally and stopping illegal migrants making small boat crossings in the first place.
Well read, absolutely brilliant. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, an independent review says that the ISIS bride Shamim Begum, who is currently in a detention camp in Syria, should return to Britain to prevent human rights violations. Should she stay or should she come back?
But after the break, Donald Trump says the BBC have 24 hours to remove their doctored speech on his from 2021 as he presses on with that £1 billion lawsuit.
All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
I think you should read.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 28 minutes past 1. Now, GB News made waves on the world stage as our very own Bev Turner quizzed the United States President's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, about Donald Trump suing the BBC over a doctored speech. Here's how it all unfolded.
Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
He has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
Donald Trump has given the BBC until tomorrow evening to respond to his legal claim, where he has threatened to sue the broadcaster for $1 billion.
Sounds like something out of Austin Powers, doesn't it? Well, joining us now is GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster. Catherine, what do we know more about this?
Yes, well, it looks like the BBC are preparing that apology because, look, they do not clearly want to be sued for $1 billion and they simply cannot afford it. And the money that the BBC has, let's face it, is taxpayers' money, licence fee payers' money, i.e. pretty much all of us that do pay our licence fee. So Bev Turner had that question, didn't she, about, potentially bankrupting the BBC. There will be, we understand, an apology forthcoming from them to try to head that off. And then, well, let us see what happened. Caroline Leavitt just referred to the BBC as a leftist propaganda machine. I don't think that's language you would hear from most of the politicians here. The Prime Minister in PMQs yesterday did say, though, that the BBC needed to get its house in order. Now, if Donald Trump did try to sue, and he's sued various media organisations over in the United States, first of all, it's unlikely that anybody would find in favour of giving that sort of settlement. Also, the time to sue here is already timed out, possible in Florida, but, potentially they might get sued for a few million, which wouldn't be good. But it's not just that one issue of that splicing together of that Trump speech on January the 6th, putting together two bits of speech from pretty much an hour apart and making something entirely false, giving an entirely different impression from the genuine part of the speech. That's not the only problem. I mean, sure, in getting Donald Trump off their back it is, but this report that was leaked to the Telegraph last week laid out a series of failings over the Gaza coverage as well, and of course the issue of women's rights and trans. And if the BBC weren't in enough trouble last week, we then heard that they'd found against Martine Croxall when she'd corrected pregnant people to women and allowed her eyebrows to raise in a facial expression. And I think it's interesting, Richard Burgess, the director of news content, has said that the BBC has got the gender coverage of the gender debate wrong over the last 10 years and has said that full coverage must be given to all sides. And I did hear them talk about a trans person the other day, using a phrase that I'd never heard before. So I think they are certainly moving on that at least. But let's see if sorry is enough to pacify Donald Trump tomorrow.
Indeed. Catherine Forster, thank you very much. Yeah, and this all also comes at very bad timing, doesn't it, Tom, as well, obviously. Renewing the 2027 licence, and the fee is due to go up £181 as well.
Oh, joy. Well, it's one to keep a close eye on, of course, but this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's plenty more to come.
Yes, stay tuned to find out which British baby names are set to go extinct. Is Tom on there, I wonder? Is your name on the list? All of that and much more after your latest news headlines with Sophia.
Dawn, thank you. Very good afternoon. These are the top stories just after 1:30. Sir Keir Starmer says that he'll investigate briefings that unleashed a leadership row as he faces pressure to overhaul his, quote, toxic Downing Street operation and sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney. Some good news for the economy. Growth has just stayed in positive territory. UK GDP rose by 0.1% over the past 3 months, despite a cyber attack at Jaguar Land Rover hitting manufacturing in September. The Home Office has confirmed that they will scrap police and crime commissioners from 2028. Policing Minister Sarah Jones says that this will save £20 million a year after they failed to deliver. The UK's first small modular nuclear reactor will be built in Wales, backed by £2.5 billion of government investment. And the government has confirmed that the National COVID Memorial Wall will be preserved to remember the lives lost during the pandemic and honour the sacrifice and public service of key workers. Those are the headlines for now. More on those stories at the top of the hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thanks very much indeed. Now there's plenty more coming on today's programme.
Yes, indeed. Sadiq Khan announces electric vehicles will face a congestion charge for the first time in London. That's just weeks after news broke of government proposals to introduce a pay-per-mile levy on electric car drivers from 2028.
Well, there's much more to come, and all of that, of course, gbnews.com /you'll if you want to get involved. But this is indeed GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south are staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M90 northbound at Junction 6 off-slip is currently facing disruptions due to a broken-down vehicle, partially blocking the road. On the M48, a 7.5-ton weight restriction for heavy goods vehicles is in place in both directions. This restriction is set to remain until further notice, so plan your journeys accordingly. And on the trains, there is a disruption on the Avanti West Coast Line between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District, causing significant delays. Similarly, cross-country services are experiencing delays between Dunbar and Berwick upon Tweed. Stay updated for more travel news on gbnews.com.
Hello, welcome back. It is 38 minutes past 1. Time's flying, isn't it? And this is Good Afternoon Britain. I have to be reminded what the show's called. It's Good Afternoon Britain.
It's written right there, Dawn.
I know, but I'm not. Look, I'm just concentrating on presenting a really, really good show.
Absolutely.
Honestly. OK, now we're going to talk about nuclear power again, because the UK's first small modular nuclear reactor will be built in Wales in Anglesey.
Yes, the project, run by Great British Energy Nuclear, is part of a plan to boost clean energy and national security.
Yes, joining us now is former Special Advisor at Number 10, the founder of Britain Remade, Sam Richards. Gosh, that's a long title, Sam. Sam, is this a good thing? I mean, I'm just reading about it here. It says this nuclear power station is the nuclear equivalent of an IKEA chair. I find that personally worrying.
This is really, really good news. We need new nuclear energy. We need the secure, reliable, dependable energy that it's going to deliver. But we do need to get the costs down. And the reason why it's described as this IKEA chair of energy, because these are going to be modular reactors. So rather than building one massive giga-scale nuclear plant, we're going to build these in a factory and then ship them over, and then they can just be installed on site. And because you build them, I think it's going to be Rolls-Royce who are building them, a good British company, but because you build them in a factory, you can then learn by doing and get the costs down. So that's going to be really, really important.
And this is how the South Koreans get their nuclear power so cheaply, because they have this sort of production line going on. With them, it's the bigger things, but if we get a production line going, that can actually drive these costs down.
Absolutely right. Building in fleet, learning by doing, it's going to be really important to driving the costs down. But the other thing that we've got to make sure is that it doesn't get wrapped up in the red tape that we've talked about previously. We know that the government is not dealing with the habitats regulations that mean that you have to deal with the bats and the newts and lead to the creation of the fish disco, which we talked about previously at Hinkley Point. And we need to make sure that when we build this new fleet in Anglesey, which is hugely welcome and it's going to be thousands of jobs involved in construction, but that we don't drive up costs as the builders have to cut through all this red tape.
Now, work is due to start next year, but not due to start generating power until the mid-2030s. It still feels like a long way off.
It is, but I mean, look, there's a couple of things here. Firstly, I'm sure we may have seen the video of Nick Clegg in 2011 saying, well, why are we bothering with nuclear power? This won't be online until the early 2020s. Well, we're now in 2025, and actually, if we cracked on and built some of that stuff now, we would have it now. So, you know, there's no time like the present. But secondly, we can also get some of those timelines down if we deal with some of the regulations that make it far too hard to build stuff. And that's what the government needs to do now. They've announced it.
How confident are you that they will do that? Because, of course, it's taken 2 years to get to this stage. 2 years where the government spent £22 million just trying to pick a provider. I mean, George Osborne spoke about Rolls-Royce in 2016 doing this stuff. I mean, that was 9 years ago. And it's taken all of this time just to pick the guys who are going to make the thing. And part of that process, this government, and indeed the one previously, were asking the company that were going to make these small modular reactors who was going to hire the most refugees, who was going to hire the most recent immigrants, who was going to make sure that people who face barriers to employment were going to be part of this effort, who was going to have a 50-50 gender split on their team. I mean, all of these impositions put on these companies when they could have just been making the nuclear power in the first place.
Yeah, it's totally bonkers. I obviously totally agree. It is good news that the government has clearly recognised some of this, and they've set up this nuclear regulatory task force that is going to be reporting later in the year clear on what rules that we can pay about, like some of the ones that you've set out. But it is also the case that their planning bill that they're bringing forward now, that they hope is going to speed up some of this building, does not go far enough. So this announcement is good news, but yeah, I share some of your scepticism and concern about whether they're going to build this stuff fast enough.
Indeed. Thank you very much for joining us today. That is Sam Richards. Go and read the title out. It's a long one.
Yeah, former Special Advisor at Number 10, founder of the campaign Britain Remade.
Or Sam, as I call him. Thank you very much, Sam, for coming in. Thank you. OK, now, talking of power and electric-type stuff, London's electric car drivers are in for a jolt. See what we did there? As the Mayor, Sir Sadiq Khan, confirms the first-ever congestion charge for EVs. I thought that wasn't the point. Daily fees rising and discounts being scaled back. Many Londoners and businesses say the new system piles extra pressure on those who've switched to cleaner travel, as we were all encouraged to do in the first place.
Well, let's speak to the motoring journalist Steve Fowler about this. Steve, if people have just invested a huge amount of money in a very expensive new electric car, the least they might have thought is that they're not going to have to pay for the sodding congestion charge.
I think you've hit the nail right on the head. This is a real kick in the teeth for electric car drivers and people who might recently have invested in an electric car. Of course, we've got a government that's saying go electric. From 2030, you'll only be able to buy cars with plugs on. We think maybe a few hybrid cars, but the government definitely wants people to go electric. It's set a mandate that says 28% of all new cars sold this year need to be all electric. And in July, it announced, although nobody knew it was coming, an electric car grant worth up to £3,750 if you bought an electric car. Great. That's clear signal to say that we should be going electric. Now, last week, we had this potential 3 pence per mile levy on EVs. And today, the London Mayor has decided that the congestion charge will be payable by electric cars. And it's only a 25% discount. It's £13.50 every day if you want to drive into the capital, which, as I say, is a real kick in the teeth if you just invested in an electric car or you're a business invested in an electric van, because until now, you've been told that that's the way to go and you can drive into London for free.
Here, this isn't about making the air in London, and it's coming to other capital cities, other main cities. Don't hold your breath on that one. But it's not about clean air, is it? It's about making money.
Yeah, that's the simple thing as far as I can see it. You know, everybody wants to clean the air. And if we want to clean the air, the solution is, with local pollution, it's most definitely electric vehicles. So I reckon this could well push people back into petrol and diesel cars.
Well,
you know, if you're
do
going
we
to pay
need to be clear
£13
here, though, because there's a difference between ULEZ and the congestion charge. So the ULEZ zone is the whole of Greater London now. The congestion charge zone is the very centre of London, and it's about reducing traffic. It's been quite successful in reducing traffic.
Well, it depends how often you drive into London. It doesn't seem to make an awful lot of difference, but for me, in central London, it is about cleaning the air. It's not necessarily about congestion. If it was about congestion, why did you have an exemption on electric cars in the first place? It is,
because there were so few
as you quite rightly said, Dawn. I think it's about cash raising, but it's the mixed messages. You know, whether it's the national government or the London Mayor, it's mixed messages. One day you're saying buying electric car, the next day you're going to say we're going to tax you on that electric car. Where do you stand? It's going to put people off buying electric cars. It could push people back into petrol or diesel cars, which isn't going to clean the air, and I'm pretty sure that's what the London Mayor doesn't want.
OK. Well, Steve Fowler, motoring journalist, thanks indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting one there.
So I just think that every government, this isn't even a political point, every government treats motorists so appallingly. I don't even drive, I'm a cyclist, but hey,
Really?
I bet they're coming for me next.
Oh,
it's like it's cycling through London, give us some money.
It's bonkers mixed messaging, I think, is the clear thing. But I mean, it's like every story we've been talking about this government this afternoon. It's saying one thing, doing another. Two different messages coming from 16 different...
Get out of your petrol and diesel cars, get an electric one, you'll save the planet. Oh, no, we're going to charge you more.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come.
Yes, stay tuned to find out how much this piece of art, fantastic, a literal pile of old ropes, has been priced at.
Now, if you're in search of some sunshine this winter, here's the weather in Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
There's a lot of tables out there that won't just have turkey on it. There'll be turkey and ham, and but I know some people that will cook 3 or 4 different meats. And obviously the joy of having turkey is that you can then make a turkey curry for Boxing Day and the subsequent days. So, you know, you should be having days of curry after your turkey lunch. I think for the masses, it's still hugely popular. You know, through the festive period at the Dog, we will have hundreds of people having Christmas parties, and most of them will order our turkey lunch or dinner. And then Christmas Day, we could sell it probably 3 or 4 times. The demand for people to go out for the traditional turkey roast is still massive. But hey, look, if you don't like a roast lunch, then why force yourself to have it on the, you know, probably one of the most important meals of the day in terms of bringing family together.
What about Sophie's point, Mark, about cost and spending £30, £40 on turkey? That is simply too expensive for lots of people.
Yeah, I'll never be able to defend or debate that. You know, I know more than anyone the challenges around food inflation, and a good turkey has become a huge cost. But I still think where people can afford the tradition, the joy of coming together, sharing a big turkey roast meal it's a brilliant Christmas tradition. But yeah, the food inflation, that's something we've talked about a number of times, isn't it? You know, it's crippling our business and it's crippling people at homes. I suppose the key thing to look at is if you know what you're doing with it, a good turkey will feed the family for many days. It's not just one meal.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 10 to 2. Now, of course, we've been reporting all afternoon chaos in Downing Street. Let's hear what the Chancellor's been saying just in the last few minutes.
Those who are responsible for briefing against West Streeting, should he?
Well, the Prime Minister was really clear yesterday that there's no place for that sort of briefing and that sort of behaviour, and I absolutely agree with the Prime Minister.
Do you have confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney?
Yes, I do, but, you know, the Prime Minister was really clear yesterday that there is no role for briefing against colleagues, and I very much agree with the Prime Minister.
So why won't he sack the person who's responsible?
Well, I think it's going to be a leak inquiry, but at the moment there is no evidence of where that briefing is coming from. But the Prime Minister was really clear yesterday that there is no role for that sort of briefing against colleagues.
Chancellor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, that was the Chancellor speaking in just the last couple of minutes. But speaking of tying yourself in knots...
Ooh, you went there. You had to go there, didn't you? Was that your idea to say that?
No, it was your idea,
Thank you
Dawn.
very much. OK, now the Turner Prize-nominated artist David Shrigley has launched his new exhibition where the only piece of art is a 10-ton pile of discarded rope. And it's worth an eye-watering, Tom...
£1 million.
Wow. If laid out from end to end, the artwork is 20 miles long and heavier than 2 hippos.
Extraordinary. I mean, apparently the artist here said that the biggest challenge of this artwork was making the old rope not smell.
Right. Do we know where we got the old rope from?
All sorts of places.
Right, OK, because I've walked along beaches and seen piles of rope that look like that, and I wouldn't pay £1 million for it, that's for sure.
Would you not? But because this has been compiled by an artist...
Oh, right.
Right,
That's the difference,
of course. If you just throw some paint on a wall, that's not art. But if an artist does it, suddenly that's worth millions of pounds.
Anyone else thinking Emperor's New Clothes here?
Well, Dawn, you and I have had experiences looking at modern art before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yes, of course. Yeah, that was brilliant. Now, we sold that for a fortune.
We did.
A banana. I put it on social media. I can put it on social media again for you.
Yeah.
That was fantastic, wasn't it?
No, it was fantastic. I think I don't know if we could create quite an equivalent.
We could have a go.
Miles of old rope and try and sell it.
I have an idea.
Oh, yeah?
Tomorrow, as well as Tom's whiteboard moment, which I know you look forward to.
Every week.
And Tom's tangent, which is a new
segment.
Yeah, it's a new section we're introducing, because he does often go off on tangents, you might have noticed.
Only occasionally.
We could also now have Tom and Dawn's Art Corner.
We should do our Art Corner.
We
could make some serious money doing that.
We could. We've done the banana thing. Now we could have a pile of rope.
We need to get our berets and our easels.
I think you look quite good in a beret, actually.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think we could pull off the artistic.
Very good at drawing.
I am famously very good at drawing.
We'll have to revisit your stickmen.
I thought they were very lifelike. But do get involved. Would you pay £1 million for a pile of old rope, even if it is created by an artist?
Or even £1 million for Tom's banana.
Wow. Well, all of that to come and more. I bet you're looking forward to tomorrow's show, aren't you? This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there is still plenty more to come. We're across all of the chaos in Downing Street, but first is your latest weather forecast.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. And we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Thursday, the 13th of November. Unlucky for some. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Dawn Neeson.
Now, it's border disorder. Yes, shocking new footage obtained by GB News shows people smugglers and migrants brazenly operating in French coastal towns before they no doubt jump on a small boat to the United Kingdom.
People in coastal communities say they're being terrorised by regular disorder and high levels of criminality that are linked to the small boat migrants.
And meanwhile, tensions at the top of government show no signs of easing after a row inside Downing Street over West Streeting appears to have badly misfired, with suggestions the PM's chief aide Morgan McSweeney is to blame. Allies of Sir Keir Starmer are warning Labour MPs that any move to oust the Prime Minister could backfire and trigger a national election.
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
United States Press Secretary Caroline Levitt tells GB News' very own Bev Turner that the lawsuit against the BBC is going ahead, and the broadcaster has until tomorrow to remove doctored panorama clip of Donald Trump. Will they do it?
An independent review says that the ISIS bride Shamima Begum, who is currently in a detention camp in Syria, should return to Britain to prevent human rights violations. Should she stay or should she come back, though?
And stay tuned to find out which British baby names are set to go extinct. Could your name be on the list?
Bless you, Tom.
Yes, it was. The mysterious sneeze did emanate. It was Mark White. It was all Mark White.
Absolutely, yeah. yeah. It was Mark. But no, when I was a kid, once a wish used to be what you got when you sneezed once.
Right.
No one ever heard of that? Once a wish?
Once a wish? No,
Twice
never.
a kiss? Thank God you only sneezed once.
Well, who would I get the kiss from?
Mark?
Well, listen,
just a thought.
Give me a couple of pints and I'll kiss anyone.
Oh, there we go. Goodness me. Lucky me in between these. Anyway, yes. There is a lot to cover today on Good Afternoon Britain.
At least 10 pints, to be honest with you.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
Who am I? OK, now...
Well, I'm not going to say what's in my mug.
We have got some serious stuff coming up. We've got a cracking Donald Trump story, and our Bev Turner did a brilliant job. So send your comments by visiting gbnews.com/your say and join in our conversation. But all of that coming after the news headlines with Sophia Hill. Here she is.
Dawn, thank you. Very good afternoon. It's just gone 2 o'clock. These are your top stories. Sir Keir Starmer faces mounting pressure to sack his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, as Labour's internal row deepens over anonymous briefings against Wes Streeting. The Prime Minister has apologised to the Health Secretary for the, quote, juvenile claims that he was plotting a coup and ordered an inquiry to find the source of the attacks. Sir Keir says he's determined to drive out a toxic culture inside Downing Street, insisting that any attack on a member of my cabinet is completely unacceptable.
Any briefing against ministers is completely unacceptable. That's not a new position for me. It's a position I've adopted ever since I became Prime Minister, and I made it very, very clear to my team. I've been talking to my team today. I've been assured that no briefing against ministers was done from number 10, but I've made it clear that I find it absolutely unacceptable. If it transpires...
You're saying it didn't come from Downing Street?
I've been assured it didn't come from Downing Street, but I'd be equally clear that whether it's this case or any other, I intend to deal with it.
And some good news for the economy. Growth has just stayed in positive territory. UK GDP rose by 0.1% over the past 3 months, despite a cyber attack at Jaguar Land Rover hitting manufacturing in September. The modest increase shows that the economy is still edging forward ahead of the Chancellor's autumn budget, where Rachel Reeves says that she'll focus on building an economy that works for working people.
This year to date, we have been the fastest growing economy in the G7, still awaiting US numbers. But of course, in the first half of this year, we were the fastest growing economy in the G7. Is there more to do? Absolutely. To grow our economy, to ensure there are good jobs, paying decent wages in all parts of the UK, which is why today I'm in Anglesey announcing a government investment alongside the private sector with Rolls-Royce as our preferred provider to create 3,000 jobs that just here in Anglesey are building small modular reactors to power 3 million homes.
Elsewhere, the White House has branded the BBC a leftist propaganda machine as its battle with the broadcasters escalates. President Trump has given the BBC until Friday to retract parts of a Panorama documentary, which he claims dishonestly edited one of his speeches. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said he supports a strong, independent BBC, but warned that it must get its houses in order. The President's Press Secretary, Caroline Levitt, says that the ball is in the BBC's court now, as reports suggest that the corporation is considering an apology in order to avert a $1 billion lawsuit.
The president has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. As you know, the president's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
Now, the government has confirmed that the National COVID Memorial Wall will be preserved to remember the lives lost during the pandemic. The wall in central London was created under the Tories to commemorate the loss of life during the pandemic and to honour the sacrifice and public service of key workers. The government has today published a report also pledging to deliver new COVID-19 commemorative green spaces and to acknowledge the COVID-19 Day of Reflection every March. Culture Minister Baroness Twycross said that the pandemic had a huge impact on every aspect of our lives, and it's only right that we appropriately remember this shared history. And flooding could hit parts of the UK tomorrow as forecasters issue an amber warning for rain. Storm Claudia is set to sweep the UK this weekend, bringing heavy downpours and strong winds. Some areas could see up to 80 millimetres of rain, with expected knock-on effects to include power cuts, travel disruptions and damage to buildings. These warnings will remain in place until the end of Friday. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'll be back in just under half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.317 and €1.134. The price of gold is £3,213.97 per ounce, and the FTSE 100's at 9,833 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Thank you very much, Sophia. I've just got to read this out. It's very funny.
Yeah.
This is from Tommy. Hi, Tommy. Good afternoon, Tommy.
Great name, by the way.
It's not one that's dying out, obviously, either. This one's Mark, Tom and Dawn. Have you three completely lost the plot? Well, the thing is, Tommy, to have completely lost the plot, you have to have it in the first place. And we haven't. We've never had it. And also, just a big shout-out to Sandra and Suzanne, who also remember that once a wish, twice a kiss, 3 times a letter, 4 times something better if you sneeze.
Wow, every day is a school day. I have literally never heard this before in my life.
That's weird. Please let us know if you've heard of that. I'm just not completely going mad along with Sandra and Suzanne, but thanks, girls.
But then again, I'm not often attacked with sort of repeat sneezes. With me, it's usually one and done.
Thank God. Just stick at one.
Yeah.
Right, OK.
But I think there's quite an element of pride in having a loud sneeze.
Yes,
You don't want one of those tiny, mousy sneeze is not what you want to be doing.
Didn't even need your microphone on for that one. OK, well, the main story we're covering this hour, and it's frankly a horrific one. GB News can reveal that people smugglers and migrants are operating largely unchecked in French coastal towns.
Yes, exclusive footage from GB News captures large numbers of migrants seen walking through towns in their life jackets, seemingly unchallenged by any authorities.
They're quite the most staggering things I've ever seen. Local residents have reported feeling terrorised, understandably, by the increasing levels of migrant criminality and violence.
Well, joining us is our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, some extraordinary footage.
Yeah, we hear an awful lot about just how people right across the UK are very concerned about, in particular, migrant hotels. But just imagine living in these coastal communities right next to makeshift camps with many thousands of migrants and seeing the net result. Let's look at some images. The first image through a residential street in the town of Gravelly near Dunkirk, showing a small boat that is being carried through that residential street by about 20 or so migrants in broad daylight. Absolutely no interference from law enforcement, who, having been provided with hundreds of millions of extra finance from the UK government, are supposed to be in these towns in significant numbers to stop this kind of activity. But these migrants are heading down to a local river to launch that boat to head out to sea. Other images that we want to bring to you, you saw just a glimpse of them in the introduction there. These are at bus stops, free bus services that are provided going to and from the beaches. Well, the migrants make perfect use of that. And they don't try to hide the fact that they're clearly going to catch their illegal boat across to the UK, because they're wearing their life jackets, or they're carrying their distinctive orange life jackets as well. Again, in all this filming that GB News has done here they are walking down again another main street in a town. Life jackets absolutely evident there. There is no interference from the French police whatsoever in all of the shots that we've got in different towns. This is the outskirts of Dunkirk. Now we're in Calais, looking at the same thing. This mass of people heading away through the town there. No attempt, it seems, to stop them, and at the very least confiscate life jackets, which are enablers. And then a final sequence we want to show you are of the supply, the boats that are put together, and these images will show you a backstreet assembly factory lockup in Turkey, where the boats are assembled, and the particular boats that we can show you here actually have a red stripe down the side of the boat. I don't think we've got that quite ready for you at the moment, but basically what that shows you is that there are different suppliers of these boats, and actually the images there of that boat with the red stripe you can see out in the channel. So they're being assembled and manufactured in China, assembled in Turkey, then deassembled, taken over to the likes of Germany, transported to France, and now they're in the water heading towards the UK, just showing you that there are different types of small boat suppliers.
And Mark, we discussed this a little bit earlier in the programme, but I think it is worth re-emphasising. When the government says smash the gangs, it's almost as if they believe that going after the suppliers and the criminal gangs will stop the problem, as if the gangs are inducing the demand of people to come across the channel. But looking at these new boats and the images that you've brought us here, it is precisely the opposite way around, isn't it? I mean, as soon as one boat manufacturer is shut down, that doesn't shut down the trade. Another one springs up to provide the boats, because at the end of the day, it's the migrants who incite the boats, not the boats who incite the migrants.
Yet, if you listen to the rhetoric of the government and many others who support the migrants, it would take that personal responsibility away from the migrants and actually put it all on the people smugglers, that there is no element of personal responsibility in seeking out these people smugglers in the first place to pay them thousands of euros or whatever they're paid to take them from the Middle East or Asia or Africa right across thousands of miles into Europe and, of course, to the northern shores of France. It's the migrants that are driving the demand. You're absolutely right on that.
It's a pathological ideology to some extent, viewing individuals as collectives rather than individuals. This is a victim group, in my view. These are refugees, this is a victim group, and thereby taking away any agency that the individuals within that self-defined group have of themselves. Mark White, thanks indeed for bringing us all of that footage. Really, really interesting stuff.
And if you are listening on the radio and you want to see those pictures, we're putting them on the website for you, so go there and have a look, because it is some of that. I mean, they're literally walking down the street with a dinghy on their shoulders and everyone's just looking at them in broad daylight.
Well, shall we speak to the French journalist now, Hélène Roux? Hélène, thanks indeed for joining us. This is a pretty shocking series of images of northern France, where people are walking around undeterred by any sort of police activity.
Yes, of course. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yeah, the situation in the villages and the towns in the north of France, Gravelines, you mentioned Dunkirk, Calais, is terrible, but I'm afraid this is not new. I mean, it's been months that French people are suffering from these migrants' violence. It's almost every day. I mean, the people can't sleep at night. Their cars are being stoned. Their gardens are suffering from theft. They often witness gunshots also, because they're migrant violence. For example, the Iraqis are leading a war against the African migrants. So it's very complicated for the residents of these towns. And the problem is that our law enforcement officers, they're just overwhelmed. And people are calling them, but they're just overwhelmed. And it's very complicated to them to act on this. And the authorities just seem to be at loss for solutions.
Helen, obviously in the United Kingdom, we have an awful lot of anger about this situation. What is the reaction in France, and what do the French government say to people to explain why this is happening?
Well, for a bit of context, so right now, our government, our parliament, are currently trying to pass the budget. So security, immigration issues have been relegated to the background for the time being. Our president is very unpopular. Our National Assembly is divided. Our political situation is really terrible. So it seems impossible to pass any major legislation. But the problem is that we have polls. I mean, 79%, eight French people out of 10 want tougher policies on illegal immigration, and that is also one of the reasons why the presidential candidate Marine Le Pen, the conservative candidate, is so high in the polls. Right now, she's about like 37% of vote intention. So the majority of French people want politicians to address this issue. But the problem is that the context is not optimal right now.
OK, well, Helene Roux, thanks indeed for joining us and talking through some of those extraordinary images that we're seeing of migrants in northern French towns. Really, really...
It really is frightening. So we're going to put these images on the website for you if you are listening on the radio at the moment, or you're driving, etc. Do have a look, because I've never quite seen anything like it in my life. Walking down the high street with a dinghy on their shoulders, bright orange life belts to the sea, and no one is doing a thing.
Well, if they get on those boats and come across to England, not their problem anymore, is it?
No, indeed. OK, now, a Home Office spokesperson has said the number of small boat crossings are shameful and the British people deserve better. The government is taking action. We have detained and removed more than 35,000 who were here illegally, and our historic deal with the French means those who arrive on small boats are now being sent back. But we must go further and faster, removing more of those here illegally and stopping migrants from making small boat crossings in the first place.
OK, well, let's move on to our next story now. A review has found that council staff tried to check on Sarah Sharif the day before she was murdered. But get this, they went to the wrong address.
It is the most shocking story. The 10-year-old was murdered by her father, Irfan Sharif, and stepmother Benish Batul following 2 years of abuse. The pair were both jailed for life.
Well, the review found that services in Surrey failed to identify that Sarah was at risk of abuse and didn't question her unexplained bruising. Surrey County Council has since said that it was deeply sorry for the findings in this review.
We're joined now by journalist and commentator Khadija Khan. Khadija, thank you so much for coming in. An absolutely horrific story. You can't imagine the horrors that poor child went through. How and why do you think she was fouled so badly on so many levels?
Thank you so much for having me, and it always breaks my heart when I'm talking about this little girl. She was 10 years old girl. She was beaten, she was burned with iron, she was scalded with hot water and hooded. And there were 71 fresh injuries on her body and 29 fractures at the time of her death. And nothing could, urge the people who were looking at her injuries, and they were just silent. Nothing and no injury was reported to a doctor or to the concerned authorities. And it breaks my heart again when I say this, but I have no doubt that the way she was starting wearing hijab to conceal, her injury, that's the most tragic part, because why a girl, 10-year-old girl, she's wearing hijab? Nobody questioned it. Nobody doubted it, under the pretext of cultural appropriation. And I have no doubt that if she were alive, she would be wearing niqab or burqa to hide her oppression and injuries. And the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, would dodge the question and refuse to discuss this issue of banning hijab or niqab and burqa for children in British primary schools, as he did earlier. And this issue, and he would refuse to address this issue, which is related to the rights of the most vulnerable people, minorities within minorities. And that is tragic.
This is such an important point, because so often in cases of tragedy where authorities could have stepped in, could have stopped this. We've seen with the grooming gangs. We actually saw with the Manchester Arena bombing as well. And now we've seen with the Sarah Sharif case. Had people been willing to say, well, why are you wearing a hijab? Well, why are you covering parts of your face and a huge amount of your body? Likely, these inspectors did not want to be called racist, and they prioritised not being called racist above a vulnerable, above the safety and indeed the life
of a child,
of a vulnerable young girl?
I refuse to buy this excuse anymore that they didn't want to appear as racist, because I would say there has been a shameful denial about the religious and cultural aspect which is bleak and grim to this case, to this horrific tragedy. A concept of having someone aggressive and authoritarian, you know, in a conservative Muslim household, a father who is ordained by religion and culture to discipline his daughters and women, it's not a new thing. And that is a tragedy that a man who had 16 years of record of abusing women and violence against women and children, he was not even doubted for a moment when he was granted the custody of this girl. So I don't want to buy this excuse anymore that they didn't want to appear racist. It was a shameful denial under the pretext of respecting cultural and religious sensibilities, and they threw this little girl and her right to live with dignity under the bus in order to appease, I would say, these religious and cultural fanatics. And the report has found that they are unable to, find a single solution to this problem, what happened to this little girl. I humbly suggest that how about just stop pandering to the religious fanatics? How about throwing the girls and women from minority background under the bus in order to appease religious fanatics? And how about sacrificing little girls such as Sarah Sharif on the altar of multiculturalism for a starter? I mean, just for a starter.
Yeah.
The solution, having a solution to this problem, it comes later. You need to just pave some foundation. And to do so, all you have to do is just to start treating people equally under the equal law of the land. That's all you have to do.
Khadija, thank you very much. Always a very strong argument. Khadija Khan there, thank you very much. OK, let us know what you think. Obviously, a horror story, but, you know, what do you make of what Khadija's had to say? gbnews.com/your say.
Now, the leader of Surrey County Council, Tim Oliver, has said this. This horrific and incredibly sad situation was the direct result of adults murdering an innocent child they should have looked after and cared for. We will now act on those findings and continue to review and strengthen our culture, systems and processes designed to support good practice in working with children and families.
OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, an independent review says that the ISIS bride, Shamima Begum, who is currently detained in a detention camp in Syria, should return to Britain to prevent human rights violations. Well, that's her human rights, but what about our human rights? Well, that's coming up, but after the break.
Is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
That's the US Press Secretary Caroline Levitt telling GB News' very own Bev Turner that the lawsuit against the BBC is going ahead and the broadcaster has until tomorrow, that's Friday, to remove their Dr. Panorama clip of Donald Trump. Will they do it, though?
All of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 28 minutes past 2. Now, GB News made waves on the world stage and indeed the world's airwaves as our own Bev Turner quizzed the United States President's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, all about Donald Trump suing the BBC over that doctored speech. Here's what went down.
Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC?
He has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
Yes, Donald Trump has given the BBC until tomorrow evening to respond to his legal claim, where he has threatened to sue the broadcaster for $1 billion.
Well, joining us now is our very own political correspondent, Catherine Forster. And Catherine, I mean, I'm finding it hard to understand what the President is asking for other than money here. Hasn't the BBC already taken the documentary off iPlayer and already apologised?
Well, yes, they've already taken it down. They've already admitted that it shouldn't have gone out in that form and that mistakes were made. But look, at the moment, he's still saying he's going to sue for $1 billion unless he receives that formal apology by, I think, 10 o'clock tomorrow night UK time. Now, it looks likely that the BBC is going to make that apology because obviously they do not want to be sued by the US President. So let us see what happens. I mean, Donald Trump does have a history of suing media companies. He's had a number of battles with, US, ABC, CNN, CBS, amongst many others, some with more success than others. But this is the first time that he's threatened to sue a media outlet in another country. Entirely. So this is a nightmare for the BBC. I mean, they've had some pretty rocky times over the last few years. And of course, they're coming up for their charter renewal and the government are considering possibly different ways of funding rather than the licence fee exclusively. So we'll see what happens with that. But this is by no means the only problem that the BBC face, because following those revelations from that Michael Prescott report that were leaked to The Telegraph, it wasn't only, although it was pretty horrendous, wasn't it, the fact that the Panorama programme had spliced together bits of Donald Trump talking an hour apart and put them together in a way that made him say something that he hadn't actually said in that way at all. But also great criticism of its coverage of Gaza, in that it gave far too much sort of weight.
Catherine, I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We're going to go live to an event where Sami Hamdi, now he was the British journalist and political commentator who was detained by ICE, immigration enforcement in the US. He's speaking to the media. Let's have a listen.
It's good to be home. It's nice to finally be back amongst the clouds. I want to say that it's wonderful to be back after being exonerated by 2 federal judges, both of whom found that there were serious breaches of freedom of speech. I want to say that this wasn't just an attack on me. It was an attack on the freedoms of ordinary Americans and citizens worldwide. It was an attack on their freedom to speak the truth in the face of hatred. And I think that my message to the Americans, as somebody who grew to love America, who loves its people, who saw the wonderful kindness and generosity and hospitality in every single state except New Hampshire. I didn't get the chance to go to New Hampshire. It's the only state I didn't go. I saw that the Americans were amenable to truth. And I think that the reason that my visa was targeted was not because of anything that I was saying, but because Americans were listening. Because now public opinion is shifting, because people are seeing the truth. There is a concern amongst bigots, amongst extremists, that if the truth gets out, it will truly change the world. And that's why I'm pleased that I was able to return home. I'm pleased that the judges found that my freedom of speech rights were infringed upon. And I'm pleased that my voice is back and that the extremists will never win. They will never prevent our voices from being loud, from resonating with the world. And I want to thank everybody who showed solidarity, everybody who stood alongside justice. And I want to finish on this point. I am not the story. I am not the story. The story is one of the most heinous genocides of our time. The story is about kids who had their heads blown off. The story is about kids who had their legs blown off. The story is about innocent women and children who were bombed into oblivion for crimes they did not commit. This is about apartheid and occupation and how to stop the final apartheid outpost that exists in our modern world. I am not the story. The story is about a world that is waking up to the truth. The truth is louder than hate. The truth is louder than the bigots. The truth is louder than the extremists. They failed to silence me. They will continue to fail to silence all those voices of truth. And I'm glad that I am here in London, where our freedoms are also protected, and they will be protected in America as well, thanks to the cooler heads in the federal court system. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to everybody who shows solidarity. And I'm happy to take a couple of questions. We go to Yasmin at BBC.
Well, there's Sami Hamdi. Now, he's the British journalist and Gaza activist who was travelling around the United States giving speeches like that about the war in the Middle East, but who was detained by immigration enforcement in the United States.
Yeah, that happened on October the 26th at San Francisco Airport, one day after speaking at a council on American Islamic relations. Authorities told Hamdi that he was being held because he'd overstayed his visa. As you heard there, that's not something he believes was the truth. Hamdi has now said he was leaving the US voluntarily and says that he endured harsh conditions at the hands of the ICE detention teams, where he was held in a small room with dozens of men and forced to wait more than 8 hours for medical care. And that's according to his statement. He also said he was kept in shackles despite never being charged with a crime.
Well, of course, there's a lot more that I'm sure will come out about that story. Indeed. But for now, this is indeed Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. And there's plenty more to come, all after your latest news headlines.
Very good afternoon. These are the top stories just after 2:30. Keir Starmer has said he's, of course, retained full confidence in his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, after being assured that no briefing against ministers was done from Number 10. Some good news for the economy. Growth has just stayed in positive territory. UK GDP rose by 0.1% over the past 3 months, despite a cyber attack at Jaguar Land Rover hitting manufacturers in September. The Home Office has confirmed that they will scrap police and crime commissioners from 2028. Policing Minister Sarah Jones says that this will save £20 million a year. The UK's first small modular nuclear reactor will be built in Wales, backed by £2.5 billion of government investment. And the government has confirmed that the National COVID Memorial Wall will be preserved. to remember the lives lost during the pandemic and honour the sacrifice and public service of key workers. Those are the headlines for now. More on those stories at the top of the hour.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Lots of you getting in touch about that interview we just played there, or statement we've just played from the journalist that's been just released from America and come back here, Sammy. And people are saying, I'm taking a couple of questions now. And it's like, who the hell does he think he is? He's not a politician. He's a journalist that was arrested for overstaying his visa according to the American authorities.
Although, of course, there are those two sort of competing narratives, aren't there? There are people who say that he was arrested for what he was saying, and then other people say, well, he was overstaying his visa. I think maybe there's... there are certainly competing claims.
Meanwhile, William says the UK needs ice, which, not the ice you put in your drinks, by the way. That's...
Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
That one, yeah.
Now, lots more still to come on today's programme.
An independent review says the ISIS bride, Shamima Begum, who is currently in a detention camp in Syria, should return to Britain to prevent human rights violations. Should she stay or should she come back?
Well, all of that and indeed more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south are staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Today, on the M90 northbound, a disruption occurs at junction 6 off Slip due to a broken down vehicle partially blocking the road. Meanwhile, on the M48, both directions carry a weight restriction of 7.5 tonnes for heavy goods vehicles starting from May 27th, 2025, until further notice. Please be mindful of these limitations while planning your journey. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services are experiencing disruptions between Lockerbie and Oxenholme Lake District. Cross-country trains are delayed between Dunbar and Berwick-upon-Tweed. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good Good afternoon, Britain. It is, it's 42 minutes almost past 2. You're so pedantic with that, aren't you?
It's 41 minutes and 50 seconds
OK,
past
see what I
2.
mean? Come on. Thoughts and prayers for me.
Now, a commission has found that the Islamic State bride, Shamima Begum, should be allowed back into Britain in order to prevent human rights violations.
Begum, now aged 26, was stripped of her British citizenship after fleeing London at the age of 15 to join Islamic State. She currently lives in a detention camp in Syria.
Well, the Counter-Terrorism Review suggested that Begum and other British people held in Syrian camps should be repatriated or otherwise risk these areas being viewed as Britain's Guantanamo Bay.
Joining us now is filmmaker Andrew Jury, who has a lot of experience of interviewing and finding out what is making Shamima Begum tick. Andrew, what do you make of this?
Not surprised. Because just recently, my friend's been to the camp, and I've just been having messages back from Shamima herself from the camp in the last 2 months. That's the only reason I know that she's still there, because 2 of the jihadi brides that I interviewed when I was there, Zahara Halaim, one of the terror twins, real horrendous human being, really bad girl, and Firdaus Jahan have all been repatriated, and this is from information from the camp, without us actually knowing that they're back. That worries me. So it's only because I've spoke to Shamima and been in contact, but I know she's actually there, which I find quite shocking.
So, Andrew, did you say that 2 of them have come back here without us knowing about it?
Correct. This is not from me, this is from the camp. There's a pair of girls called the Terror Twins. They're nicknamed the Terror Twins, obviously because they're twins and also because they create terror within the camp.
Right.
And one of the sisters has been repatriated on sources and officials of the camp. And one that I interviewed, Firdaus Jahan, who I thought was also dangerous, is now in our country walking around somewhere without any of us knowing. So
now, a lot
we
of
talk
people...
about rights.
Yeah, it does seem extraordinary when people sort of hear about these camps that are in existence in areas that presumably used to be controlled by ISIS. ISIS has withered on the vine, and now we've got this sort of legal limbo for a lot of people who grew up in the United Kingdom are now out there in the Middle East. Britain and the government up until now has been resisting the repatriation of many of these people. But what is the alternative? If they don't come back to Britain, presumably other countries don't want them either.
Well, you're saying they're resisting repatriation, but they are. They are being repatriated without us being known, without known to us. So that's a different question. Shamima's not been released at this point.
In the high-profile cases, I suppose they're resisting.
High profile. I know 3 other girls that are still in the camp. 2 of them, they're in contact with me. It's all generated by this new coalition between the Americans and the new government in Syria. They want to get the girls released so they can take American troops out of the country. Shamima's aware of all this. Shamima will be watching this interview at some stage, so she's really aware of what's going on. The camp is changing. They're saying the camp can't be sustained in the same manner it is, but they've already got mercenary. They're bricking.
Because, Andrew, it's currently run by Americans, is that what you're saying?
Incorrect. It's run by the Kurds.
Right.
The Kurds feel deceived because of the situation that's happening with the new government in Syria. So the Kurds feel pushed out. The Kurds say if they get pushed any further, they'll just open the doors to the prison, let them all go. So I've changed my feelings about Shamima because I think, Dawn, you've heard me many times about my thoughts about Shamima, but I now think that we need, for the own security of our own country, we need to bring them girls home and lock them up, maybe for life. Because I'm worried. Dawn, if you speak to me after this show, I'll tell you the nature of the messages that I have. I can't share it because of what they contain. But I'm happy off air to disclose what those messages are, and you'll understand some points of view.
We certainly will, but it sounds like you're very concerned by these messages, Andrew.
Really concerned. So what's happening in the camp and what's happening in the country is more concerned than Shamima anymore. My views on Shamima aren't really important anymore. It's what's going to happen to her. That camp won't be open for much longer for 2 reasons.
Andrew, just very quickly and finally, is Shamima still a threat to the British public?
Only by what she stood for, not as a person, because ISIS themselves would want her demise as much as maybe a lot of people in this country would.
OK. Andrew, thank you very much. That filmmaker Andrew Jury, who has covered Shamima Begum's story from literally the beginnings. OK, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News now. If you are in search of some holiday sun...
Perhaps not as far as Syria.
Don't blame you. No, absolutely. Syria is probably not a good idea.
No.
But there are some nice places much closer. Here's the forecast for those destinations for you.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Storm Claudia will continue to affect parts of Iberia as we go through tomorrow. It's continuing to bring heavy rain, thunder, large hail across parts of the Canary Islands, Portugal and particularly western parts of Spain, but it is pushing its way further east. Meanwhile, actually across many central and eastern parts of the Mediterranean, staying largely fine, some decent sunshine on offer and temperatures about what you'd expect for the time of year. Staying pretty unsettled for many across Spain as we go into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 10 to 3.
Yeah. Pedantic. But this is a fun story. We've saved the best till last. It turns out baby names have trends, just like everything else. And some once beloved classics are now on the brink of vanishing altogether.
Yes, a new global report has revealed the 10 names slipping fastest, and the reasons behind their fall from favour might surprise you.
Yes, indeed. The ones that are falling from grace, including one of my lovely best friend's name, which is Lauren. And that's a lovely name. What's wrong with Lauren, for God's sakes? It's a really nice name.
Well, also falling off the favourable list are Karen, Sheila, Brenda, Gladys, Galvin, Roderick, Gary, Neville. Not Gary Neville, but Gary and Neville.
I love the way this is... We're reading the story from the Daily Mail, by the way, who aren't fans of the Gary Neville. So you do wonder whether they've accidentally on purpose put the name Gary and then Neville. You know, I mean, possibly that was what they were thinking.
I mean, I didn't realise there were many Rodericks at this point, because I think Monty Python's Life of Brian might have...
Yes.
Made Roderick really fall down the Willis Wodwick, as the Caesar-like character says.
I can understand why Karen is falling out of favour even.
Yes, there's the internet viral...
Because it was like, you know, if you're a stroppy middle-aged woman, you're instantly a Karen.
Yes.
Which initially, I don't know about you ladies, but I thought it was quite funny. Now I do actually find it annoying.
I'm surprised that Sheila's fallen out of the list. I would have thought that Sheila would have fallen out of the list at the time of those very annoying television adverts from the start of the last decade. But apparently, no, it's only now that that's caught up.
Not many Dawns around. Dawns is an old-fashioned name now. Tom is very popular still.
Tom is perennially popular, which is very irritating, because you will often hear people say Tom, and which one?
Yeah, but you're probably called Thomas, aren't you?
I am indeed called Thomas.
And you've got middle names as well, haven't you?
I have 2 middle names.
You would do, wouldn't you?
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, because, you know, you're quite posh.
Not posh.
My middle name's Maureen.
Maureen?
Maureen.
Dawn Maureen Neeson.
You see, you take lovely. Right, OK, we're going to come back tomorrow and do all this again, aren't we?
Well, here's another popular name for you. It's the one and only Martin Daubney.
Thanks for watching.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good day to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A real chilly feel to things across many northern parts through today. Also a bit of rain around here. Further south, much sunnier and drier through the bulk of the day, but some rain will arrive later, all due to Storm Claudia, named by the Spanish Met Service, but nonetheless it is going to bring some very wet and windy weather to the UK tomorrow. Before that though, like I say, pretty chilly across parts of Scotland. Some showers, could be a bit wintry at times, some sleet, some snow here feeding their way through. Cloudier and wetter across parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Much drier, much brighter and warmer as well across central southern parts of England and Wales. Temperatures well above average for the time of year. We're looking at highs around 16 or 17 Celsius. Then as we go through towards this evening and we start to see that rain from Storm Claudia pushing its way in, so turning wet across those southern counties, staying dry for a little while longer across more central parts of England and Wales, but the rain will arrive overnight, and then a damp end to the day across many parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland and northern England. Still a few wintry showers piling in from the north on that Arctic air across some northern parts of Scotland. A chilly night to come here. Clearer skies across the northern half of Scotland will allow temperatures to drop several degrees below freezing, so watch out for some frost, maybe even some icy patches. Further south though, a much milder story, but with that we have thickening cloud, increasing amounts of rain and strengthening winds as well. With that, because of that blanket of cloud and the unsettled weather, temperatures for many in the south are staying in double figures. So a mild start, but a wet and a windy start across the southern half of the UK for many of us tomorrow. Rainfall totals will be building up, particularly across the hills, across southern parts of Wales and other parts towards the Midlands, maybe northern England. We could see some high rainfall totals as well, and those strong winds too. So a really blustery, unsettled day in the south because of Storm Claudia.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. charge. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Me and my mum, and it looks real, doesn't it?
It isn't. I thought that was real when I first saw it.
Not that you'll be able to see it, but anyway, it's me and mum.
Things like that, AI is amazing, isn't it? Because your mum's no longer with us.
Yes.
You've got a lovely video of you hugging her.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
Which is not real, but anyway, it's. But I liked it. Like the idea, I thought they've done it very well.
Yeah.
It's quite. But good luck to kids learning to tell the difference between all of that.
Well, we are talking about education today. Lots of you getting in touch. Edmund says, my grandson ended up going to hospital with stress over his exams. GCSEs are too much, I think. They've gotten harder and harder. They're not